So I'm Emily, I'm one of the organizers of Makerspace, and we have several makerspaces here today, and we just wanted to give you guys the opportunity to ask them some questions and learn a little bit more about makerspaces and what they do for the community. So we'll just go down the line. We'll start with Peter, and can you just introduce yourself, talk a little bit about your involvement with makerspaces, and then how do we get engaged with your makerspace? And then we'll do that for everybody, and then we'll open it up to questions.
Sure. My name is Peter Bankendorf, and I'm the founder of the Collaboratory, which is a civic innovation lab located on Courthouse Square. So I guess we're an imagination makerspace in the biggest sense. We work around how do we unleash the potential of our people, organizations, and physical assets in order to foster new economic, civic, and creative capital in the region. And so if you've got an idea to make Dayton a better place, that's how you engage with us. And then we're also the drivers behind the founding of the Dayton Sewing Collaborative, which is going to be up and running in about a month. And that's going to be down on Springfield Street to support the whole variety of sewing activities, from workforce development to fashion designers and others with home-based businesses who are looking for manufacturing capacity.
Hey, Sean?
And my name is Sean Polite. I'm the founder of Steamworks Labs. We're co-located with the K-12 Tejas Art Gallery downtown and building a big mural. Jerry Standard, the owner there, was gracious enough to give us some space just this year. And then my team put together a set of tools, a set of digital tools to form, I think, a proper makerspace in Dayton. Really the genesis for my work and my partner, Lori Livesey, was that we looked around Dayton, we didn't see things that we saw in Columbus and in Cincinnati with the Hive 8 or Manufactory down in Cincinnati, the Idea Foundry in Columbus, and we thought, wait, why don't we have one of those in Dayton? So I'm actually interested in hearing from you on what you think we need. I want to be, our organization be responsive to the community and provide that well-rounded makerspace, from digital tools down to woodshop tools and things like that.
Thanks. Karen?
I'm Kara Kaus. I'm with the Dayton Metro Library, and I have been heading up kind of our foray into making. We have 9 maker kits. We don't have a space per se, but we have kits that have lots of different things for making, everything from sewing and cooking to circuits and computing, so we do a little bit of everything. We use those kits in programming at all of our locations across the county, and we also take them out to the community. So we're really trying to do a lot of outreach with people of all ages to engage people in making culture.
I'm Joe McKibben, a founding member of Dayton Dyer, nonprofit makerspace in Dayton. We've been running for, I think it's been close to 6 years now. It's been a slow process, I think, for a small nonprofit, but we're getting there. And we currently are located in a space just outside of downtown off of Kiwi Street. And we've got woodworking tools and some metalworking tools, welding, CNC router, 3D printer.
Thank you.
I'm Bob Lee. I'm here with the Wright Brothers Institute, and we work under a partnership intermediary agreement with the Air Force Research Lab. And so we've set up an AFRL makerspace, pretty much called Tech Edge Works, which has a complete machine shop, electronics, any kind of building. The only catch is you got to have a project that you're working with AFRL on and be able to use that space for right now. We hope to make that there, change that over time, but right now that's kind of what's driving it. But we also are working with Emily to try to set up something called the Maker Hub. And in the Maker Hub, what we want to do is create an innovation and collaboration design space. And in the design space, we also want to have connections to all of the other maker spaces in the area, so that as people design things and collaborate with others around, and this area is open so that you can meet with AFRL people and community people could take and design something and then go out to one of the other maker spaces and actually build it. So that's kind of what we're hopefully to do. We've got a collider coming up here on the 29th, so anybody that knows about any maker space that's going on in the region, you know, we want to get them together. We're going to put the information out and then kind of cross-promote everybody.
So I guess I'll ask maybe the first question. So what do you think is the most unique thing about how you are approaching the maker movement? What do you think is the most unique thing about your makerspace and how you're impacting the Dayton community? So just
it's that we are free, we're for all ages, and we're kind of a good introductory point where you can come, experiment, see what we are doing, and it's kind of a good gateway into larger projects and larger making.
I think diet, from the founding of it's always been, I mean, the making part of it's really a good, big part of it, but I think the community has always been kind of a very important part of it to us, and fostering relationships where people can collaborate on projects and be able to move in that space and learn in a collaborative way and hands-on ways.
Anyone else?
So, yeah, I'll weigh in. I completely agree with Bob and Joe about, it's not that we didn't have makerspaces in Dayton, right? We have lots of makerspaces, but there's several of them are stovepipe, right? As Bob was talking about, they're for select groups of folks. And so one thing good, unique that we're trying to bring is, like Joe is doing, is a publicly accessible makerspace that has the gamut of tools. And so we think one of the unique things we're doing also is we're marrying science and technology with the arts community. So that's why we're co-located with K-12 Tejas Art Gallery, so there are some classic painting, art, pottery, glasswork, and that kind of stuff, and marrying science and technology. And actually, we're looking at something I think a little larger than STEM, so we've all heard of STEM from like K-12 initiatives, but we're looking to call ourselves STEAM, science, technology, entrepreneurship. So we think that's vital to the entrepreneurial ecosystem, from grassroots efforts, that Joe is doing. I think we're somewhere in between, and Bob has the the corporate, big government take on makerspaces. So I think there's room for this whole economy, and so that's good.
I think one other thing that we bring together here with by trying to create this collaborative environment within AFRL. AFRL is a big employer in the area, but if you look at the military component and even some of the civilian components, they're changing all the time. So if you haven't talked to an AFRL person in 3 years, it's probably changed. So if we can get a place where people can meet them and they can know what else is going on in the community, we can start connecting that creativity that's been being funded by our taxpayer into the whole community. Those connections that you make through these collaborations ultimately start to bring engineering and science to life.
Okay.
I'll add, for the collaboratory, we're sort of a pre-makerspace, so a lot of people come to us and then we try and point them in the right direction, help people find the elephant road, as we like to say. I think the sewing collaborative sort of speaks for itself, and it's really intensely focused on a whole range of sewing opportunities, but everything from workforce development to community building to the entrepreneurial social enterprise of things. So if you don't know where to start, these guys have got the real intense kind of maker hub, but if you've got ideas, making is, we like to say we want, what if everybody in Dayton had a maker's mindset, although a maker's mindset doesn't mean a proclivity for 3D printers. It's really about an outlook. It's about being a lifelong learner and curious and creative and a calculated risk taker and driven and resilient and all those sorts of things. So you'd be making a piece of art, a poem, a play, or robotics or next generation of medical devices. I think part of it is just pushing that whole notion of the maker's mindset.
Great. Well, I would just open it up to the audience. If you have any questions for our panelists, yeah, go ahead.
So what does it take to actually get into one of your spaces if you want to work on something?
Maybe we'll start with Dayton Diode and then Sean.
I was going to say start with the library, because the library is totally accessible and free. Now there's limits on what tool sets they have, but they can get you started. They can play. Yeah.
We also do referrals for. Just part of our jobs every day, from everything from social services and medical to now we're expanding into the sciences and technology and making. So we're a good place to start because we have intro things, and then if your project is bigger than what we're able to help you with, we can point you to one of the other players in the community that can assist you further, such as Dayton.
Dayton, there's basically two paths you can use to be involved with that diet or use our space. We organize all our events on Meetup currently, and you can get on there, and currently we have Wednesday night and Thursday night open hours pretty much every week unless they get canceled for some reason. And we have a Saturday, some Saturdays and some Sundays when we have open events. And anybody can come by at those times and use the space and talk to people, work on projects. And the second way is full membership, which is $50 a month. And that gets you 24/7 access to the space and the tools and things that we have at the space. We also have some discounted membership prices too, if people would like to volunteer some portion of their membership.
And then, so for Steamworks, we're set up similar to like a tech shop or some of the larger makerspaces that you've seen or you hear about in Cincinnati and Columbus as a membership model, kind of like a health club membership where you wouldn't go buy all this equipment yourself, right? Because of the expense, capital investment. And we have a range of memberships that are on our website, and really anywhere from corporate memberships for like 3 or 4 folks down to K-12 education memberships where I'm just dabbling in some of the tool sets. And really the difference in the membership models, I guess, is which tools you get access to, right? There's some age restrictions on some of the cutting tools and the wood shop tools. There's a little more education that needs to happen for the 3-axis CNC machine. And so we offer some basic use classes with membership and safety classes that not hurt yourself, not hurt the tool, understand what the not hurt anybody else. But really, by and large, a lot of these different tools are not that dangerous, right? The wood shop tools are far more dangerous than anything the other things. And then we want to have a cadre of folks that can facilitate your learning and your self-initiated pursuit of whatever it is you want to make.
So how do you deal with the liability issues and safety issues? Do you have to receive a certification or attend so many hours of training to use some of the equipment or what?
So, Joe can probably speak from his unique perspective too. We are, since we're just starting out right now, we're covered liability-wise under K-12 Tejas Art Gallery, right? Actually, the woodshop tools were already theirs, and they weren't using them for classes, so we're starting to utilize those. The other, like I said, other tools that we're bringing, 3D printers and laser engravers, are far less worrisome from a liability point of view, but we do need to look at that. And I think all makerspaces in general got to find the right insurer. And then we have some safety procedures, the classes. We are working towards an RFID kind of membership card that you wouldn't get access to the machine unless your RFID tag has that, your age.
Certification or something.
Yeah, or you've taken our basic safety class, right? That's what some of the insurance companies are requiring.
Yeah, I mean, the same for us. I mean, we do have an insurance policy, a liability insurance, and an umbrella insurance policy to protect us to a certain extent. But also we have a liability release form for anybody that wants to come in and actually use the space now. So in a way, it's kind of a use at your own risk kind of model. And we also have all the proper safety, POE stuff there. And we provide training on all the tools if anybody doesn't know how to use these things.
Yeah, that's true. We have a liability waiver. We're going to ask you to sign a membership agreement and outlining what our roles and responsibilities are too.
Now, how's the user? What kind of liability do they have in terms of, say, breaking a piece of equipment or something like that? Is that, if you're paying, say, the monthly fee in your case, does that then cover them in terms of if something breaks while they're using it, they don't have to replace it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, even if somebody's using something haphazard, even if somebody's using something perfectly, something's going to break sooner or later, whether it's their fault or not. So, I mean, that's just part of our operating costs. So, I mean, and in general, we kind of have a policy if people will use up something, like if they're going to be using the miter saw a lot and they dull the blade, then we're generally going to be like, well, you should probably buy a new blade for the saw or something like that. We don't really provide, because we don't necessarily provide any consumable materials. Our main goal is to provide the equipment. So.
Now, do you help them to source out raw materials, consumables?
We can do that. We just recently set up an account with Wiley Welding, so we have an easy way to get new gas and stuff like that. So you can just go over there and get a new tank of gas for $37 if it runs out or something like that.
So ours is similar for some of the cutters and the tools, right, for the saws. That's part of what the membership fee is for. With membership for us comes some amount of tool time. You know, if there's an excessive amount or something, I won't say excessive, beyond what the membership allows for, then it's kind of a pay-as-you-go. There's an hourly fee. Then there's the consumables, right? So some of them are powder-based or PLA plastics for the 3D printers, and we're trying just essentially just some small markup above cost at that by weight typically, and we have a little spreadsheet to figure out, hey, after you got your whatever it is you have made, then it's material costs.
Can you tell me a little bit about some starter kits you might have? What if I don't know what I want to make on a particular day I come in? What are some projects that you might have, for example?
I don't know, we don't necessarily have any kits necessarily laying around that are like that. We do have, there's generally unfinished projects laying around that if somebody would want to start working on, that's a possibility. But we don't really have like kits like that.
So you have like ongoing group projects that
Yeah.
multiple people are contributing to?
Yeah, we have projects like that. We have like individual projects that somebody might need help on, or maybe they don't mind somebody helping out with one of their projects. Or we have like a dead project laying around someplace that nobody's worked on in a while. You want to pick that up or something like that. So.
For us, because we're not necessarily a static space, anytime we would pull out the kits and do any kind of, even if it's a drop-in, come in and do whatever you want with these kits. We tend to have examples and some different ideas for those who, don't necessarily know what they're going to do with it. We can kind of get them started. And what's fun is we might get them started and we have a certain vision for how a certain project might work, and it's really fun to see what they actually do with it. So it's always a lot of fun.
And if you need ideas, then you go over to Peter's place and he'll help you get inspired, right?
Didn't you have welding as part of your offerings?
We have a TIG combo plasma cutter, and we also have a kind of flux core wire welder. Oh, and the TIG welder does also the stick welding. And also have like oxy-acetylene stuff too, but I think we might need to get gas for that. But we don't have a MIG welder currently.
So if someone doesn't know how to weld, and they just like to play around with some welding stuff, how do you do that without liability and all that kind of stuff? I mean, do you have any kind of training programs like that, or?
Generally, it's kind of like a one-on-one basis. So, say you wanted to learn how to start welding, you just let us know, and we'll try to make sure somebody's there to help you in that process.
So do you have a set-up program for mentoring? If somebody's interested in, say, welding, do you have like a designated person you can set up as their mentor, or would you suggest another makers group that might have that, or what?
Well, let me just address that, because we were actually trying to address that here at for the Air Force people that are coming in. We were thinking of setting up a set time where we bring an expert in, and so you advertise in advance, hey, if you want to learn about how to do X, then, or you want to learn how to run SolidWorks so you can do design in SolidWorks, then we'd have a SolidWorks person come in here, and then they'll sit down and actually get people started on projects. So if you wanted to learn, like say you said, TIG welding, I got a guy over at Tech Edge Works, he's Hobart trained welder, and he actually taught one of our lieutenants in one day how to do TIG welding. So he got him started, actually runs him through a little routine that he learned from Hobart, and then basically he will come back, have him weld for a while, comes back and tell him, because I can tell from the weld, hey, here's what you're doing wrong, like this, you're running too fast, you're running too cold, you're running too hot. And that way people start to learn very quickly. He said within one day he had this one lieutenant up and running, doing some pretty darn nice welds on aluminum.
So that's a good point. So for our makerspace, we don't currently have welding, and I think there are opportunities. There's tool sets like around town. We're going to look at partnerships and some collaboration with folks. We've talked to Dayton, Diode, and we continue to do that to leverage one another's capabilities. But it is more than just about the tools. Tools, talent, teamwork, right? So what we're really pushing for, like Bob's alluding to, is finding that talent, both folks in the community that have a passion, have some expertise in these areas that would be willing to partner with us, whether they're a member of our space or not, come to our space, use our tools, we'll help them create some class offerings, maybe more advanced class offerings than just the basic use of the tool and safety of the tool. And depending on the level of class and complexity, right, there would be a cost share for the class offering with the instructor, us, and then our host organization there at K-12.
So it looks like we only have about 5 minutes left, so maybe we can take one more question, if there's one.
Do you guys show off your clients' finished products at all on your maker spaces, or?
So I can speak for my space. We intend to have like a fab feedback or a fab lab under the MIT Fab Lab concept, right? Fab feedback Fridays, where we might set up a little more formal stage, in the evenings, have folks in the space or outside the community. We're just standing that up to come, share, get some feedback, what they're doing, because this is a community, right? We're trying to develop a community that we feed off of one another, off our ideas and stuff like that.
We've also done various programs where we then take the finished products and display those in the libraries where they were made for a while before the people come back and pick up their finished products. So it's
all the way to the other end of the spectrum, like to serve the entrepreneurial spirit, things like that. Even in K-12 Tejas, right? People make art there, and the front of the building there is their for sale section, and people have stuff, they're offering.
Now, in terms of the entrepreneurial side, is there assistance, or do you guys give guidance in terms of, say, patenting or setting you up with, financial services kind of people that might help you along, or what? How do you deal with that sort of thing?
Dayton Diode doesn't do anything like that. We don't offer those services. But
We typically send people either over to the Entrepreneur Center, we have a close relationship with SCORE and some other folks, and then other people, we have relationships with a number of investors as well, so really just depends if you come and see us. Again, we're not physically making, but we tend to have lots of resources at our disposal that we can connect people with.
Meeting is the beginning and the end of the process.
The library also has a business librarian and a grants librarian who can help with various aspects of that part of the project.
Just a small note on the library. I noticed that some of the branches carry that Make magazine, which is pretty cool, but the others don't carry it at all. Is that something that's available on Zinio or any of the other services the library has?
I honestly don't know for sure if it's available through Zinio right now or not. I do know that it's a newer feature. We've only been in the making game for under a year now. It's very new to us, and Make Magazine was one of the things that we picked up for some of those locations that were kind of pioneering our making programming and our 3D printing, so that it was available at least geographically. We tried to spread it out so you should be able to get it at a library near you, even if it might not be the library nearest you. But we do offer more magazines pretty much I think every month. We have new titles added either through Hoopla or Zinio. So if it's not available there, it may be shortly.
Another question. What kind of difficulties have you guys run into letting people know that you're out there?
All of these different questions.
Who wants to start?
Well, I think that's one of the things that we're trying to do by starting up this. We've got a Collider event coming up for anybody that's in Makerspace. If you know anybody that's in a Makerspace, we're having a Collider coming up on the 29th. We're going to get everybody in the area together, and then we're going to try to create some cross pollination of all of the areas there. We're going to create. I know in here at WBI, we're going to have a space where you can come and find out all of the different maker spaces and the types and the equipment that they have available in one area, so that we'll try to move people to those kind of spaces if they want to do it. And to answer your question too, the Wright Brothers Institute is also part of an OEA grant that we just helped Wright State win. We helped facilitate that, get it up, and it's all about commercialization. So if you have a really, really good idea, come to the Collider on the 24th. You can find out about the OEA process. And then we also have a process, a commercialization process that we're trying to, we work with the Entrepreneur Center, and if it's a small venue, like a small thing, we'd run it through there. If it's a larger thing, we have ties to some of the big funders in the area. We're also going to have a company that's going to start setting up a big capital venture fund up here. So we can help you from the small things to get started to the large industrial processes. But we also can pull IP out of the lab to kind of mix with your IP or your idea, and then put all of those together to create new businesses in the area.
I think that's all the time we've got this afternoon. So thank you to all of our Makerspace panelists, and thank you guys for the great questions. This was really good. So
I would like to point out the last 3 questions all tie very well together. Getting your name out there where you can show off and make a magazine, because July 16th, we're having the first Dayton Mini Maker Fair, which is a licensed event from Make Magazine. We're having it at Carillon Park, so we have 65 acres to fill up. If you want to show off, sign up, and we'll get you a booth. Otherwise, attend. See what's going on.
thanks.